On this Mother's Day, let us journey into the heart of the Norse myths, not to seek the gods of war or glory, but to honor the mothers, the ones who nurtured, who shaped kings and gods, who walked the line between fate and freedom. Gather now and listen. As you can all tell, we're doing things a little different this week. It's nice out. I'm tired of sitting in the house making videos. So we started a fire and we're going to sit out here and we're going to do something a little different story time. Now, lately we've been reading the Poetic Edda, but I have a list of stories here on my phone of mothers that were important in our timeline and in our sagas. And I feel it's only appropriate being that Sunday is in fact Mother's Day, which is when this video will premiere. So we have 4. Story 1. Jörð, mother of Thor. Before the gods had raised the walls of Asgard, before Mjolnir first struck the earth, there was Jörð, the very ground beneath our feet, the breathing soil and stone. Jörð was not only the earth, she was the mother of Thor, the Thunderer. She bore him not in halls of gold, but in the quiet womb of the world. And from her he drew his strength. When he called lightning, it echoed her primal voice. When he defended Midgard, it was her pulse he protected. She is the earth that never asks for thanks, but always gives. She is the first mother. Long ago, before the days of thunder and lightning, before the rise of gods and men, there was Jörð, Earth herself. She was the first mother, the one who birthed the world, cradling the seeds of life in her soil and wrapping them in her warmth. She was the land, the forest, the mountains and the oceans. Everything grew from her, and everything one day would return to her. Jörð was not alone, for she was loved by Odin, the Allfather, a god of wisdom and war. From their union, Jörð brought forth a son unlike any other. Destined to shape the world with his might, the son was Thor, the thunder god. Born with the roar of the storm in his veins, his heart as strong as mountains, and his spirit as unyielding as the very earth he was born from. As Thor grew, Jörð watched over him, her love and protection surrounding him like the vast sky that stretches above the earth. She knew he was destined for greatness, and yet she also knew that the path of a hero was one full of trials and challenges. But she could not shield him from every hardship, for the earth itself teaches its children strength through struggle. One day, as Thor set on a great journey, seeking to prove his strength to the gods, Jörð came to him in the form of a whisper. "Remember, my child," she said, "the earth beneath your feet is the source of all power. It is the soil you tread upon, the rocks you climb, and the rivers you cross that give you strength. You are my son. And you are the storm that moves the mountains. But know this, without the earth, even the mightiest storm has no place to rage." Thor, hearing the voice of his mother, stood tall and proud. He understood now that his strength was not only in the hammer he wielded, but in the very world he protected. The storms that he called forth would shape the land, and in turn, the land would shape him. His mother Jörð was not just the earth, she was the life that grew from it, the strength of the forests and the quiet power of the mountains. From that day on, Thor carried his mother's wisdom in his heart. Each time he raised Mjolnir in the skies, he remembered that it was the earth that gave him the foundation to stand, and the storms that raged through heavens were reflections of the wild forces of nature that his mother embodied. With every thunderclap, he honored her, Jotr, the earth, the mother of all things. And though she was rarely seen by the gods or mortals, her presence was felt everywhere. In every seed that sprouted from the ground, in every tree that reached for the heavens, in every breeze that whispered through the grass, Jotr was there. She was the eternal mother, the one who nourished, protected, and sustained all life. Story 2. Hervor, daughter of the cursed blade. In the forests of the north, where mist clings to the trees and the legend runs as deep as roots, a girl was born to a fallen warrior. Hervor, daughter of Angantyr, whose sword, Tyrfing, was cursed to bring ruin to all who wielded it. But Hervor feared nothing. Disguised as a man, she crossed desolate lands, summoned spirits from the grave, and demanded her birthright. She raised Tyrfing not for greed or glory, but because she would not be denied her place. She became a shield maiden, a warrior, and in time, a mother. To her children, she passed not only blood, but fire, the fire to choose one's fate, no matter the price. The story of Hervor, shield maiden of the north. Long ago in the shadowed forests of the north, there was a kingdom where the blood warriors ran deep. It was a land of great kings and great battles, where honor was the shield and courage was the sword. In this land, a woman of strength and valor was born, her name, Hervor. Her father, Angantyr, was a mighty warrior known across the realms for his unyielding spirit and his skill with a sword. But Angantyr was no ordinary man. He was also the keeper of a cursed treasure, the sword Tyrfing. Forged by dwarves deep within the earth, the sword was said to be unbeatable in battle. But it came often with a terrible price. The one who wielded it would bring misfortune and death to all who crossed their path. As a child, Hervor heard stories of this great sword and legacy of her ancestors. She grew up with the tales of mighty warriors, of kings and queens who fought to the death, their names etched into the pages of history. What set Hervor apart was not just her courage. It was the fire that burned within her, a fire to carry on her father's legacy. One day her father, Angantyr, lay dying before his passing. He called to his daughter, his voice rough with the weight of years and battle. Hervor, he said, I have kept the sword Tyrfing hidden, for it brings nothing but doom, but it is your birthright, and it is time that you claim it. Hervor, standing tall before her father's deathbed, felt the weight of his words. She knew the danger of the cursed sword, but she also knew that her destiny was entwined with it. Her father's dying breath called her to her fate, and with a heart full of determination, she set out to claim the sword. Through dark forests and over cold mountains, Hervor journeyed to the place where her father had hidden the blade. She faced countless trials, but nothing could stop her. She was a warrior like her ancestors, and the land itself seemed to call her, urging her on. She crossed rivers swollen with spring floods, battled fierce wolves who sought to tear her apart, but with each trial, her resolve only grew stronger. When she finally reached a place where her father had hidden Tyrfing, Hervor stood before the sword, its cursed power pulsing through the air. As she grasped the hilt, feeling the weight of her ancestors pressing down upon her, she lifted the sword. A cold wind swept through the land, and the spirits of those who had wielded it before her whispered from the shadows, warning her of the doom which would follow. But Hervor was not afraid. She was a daughter of the north, a shield maiden, born of blood and battle. She accepted the sword and its curse as her own. With Tyrfing in her hand, she would carve her own path, for better or for worse. Her journey did not end there, for Tyrfing was no simple blade. It was a sword that demanded blood, and Hervor's life became one of constant battle. She fought for her honor, for her people, and for the legacy of her father. She became a legend, a warrior whose name would be remembered for ages to come. But as the years passed, the curse of Tyrfing took its toll. The blade brought death wherever it went, and Hervor herself was drawn into a world of vengeance and sorrow. Her fate, like the sword, was bound to the darkness of her bloodline, and yet, despite the tragedies that followed her, she never turned away from her destiny. Hervor's story became one of great renown. She was a daughter who defied fate, the shield maiden who took up the sword of her father, and the warrior who faced her destiny with unflinching courage. Her name lives on in the sagas, a reminder of the strength of women who carve their own path, even in a world bound by the chains of fate. And so the tale of Hervor the Fearless, the warrior, the daughter of kings, remains a symbol of bravery, resilience, and the indomitable spirit that lives on in the heart of those who choose to fight for what is right, no matter the cost. Story 3. Thyri, the Queen of Unity. Thyri was born a princess, daughter of Harald Fairhair, the first king of all of Norway, but her tale was not forged in battle. It was written in wisdom. When she married Gord the Old of Denmark, it was not merely a wedding, it was a binding of kingdoms. Through her, two nations found peace. As queen, she ruled beside her husband, but her true legacy was in her son, Harald Bluetooth. She raised him to be a king not just of might, but of vision. Through her, he united the land, brought new faith, and left a mark that still echoes in the age of runes and beyond. Thyri, the quiet power behind the throne, mother of a new world. In a time when kingdoms were divided and mighty men battled for power, there was a woman whose name would be whispered through the halls of history. Thyri, daughter of the legendary King Harald Fairhair, the first king to unite all of Norway under one rule. But Thyri's tale was not just one of noble birth. It was a story of a woman whose strength was forged not in the fires of battle, but in the quiet halls of diplomacy and the warmth of motherhood. Thyri was a woman of grace, intelligence, her heart deeply tied to the land of her ancestors. Though she did not carry a sword into battle or command armies, she carried something far more powerful, the ability to unite kingdoms and shape destinies. Her father, Harald, had conquered the lands of Norway, but it was his daughter who be the thread that wove together the fate of two great nations. As the daughter of the king, Thyri was raised with the understanding of duty. She learned that not only the ways of her father's rule, but also the intricacies of alliance and the balance of power. Her beauty, wisdom, and strength were unmatched, and she sought after as a bride by many kings and princes, yet it was Gorm the Old, the king of Denmark, who would win her heart and hand in marriage. The union was more than a marriage. It was the joining of two mighty kingdoms with this bond. Thyri became the Queen of Denmark, standing beside her husband as they ruled a land of warriors and seafarers. But while Gorm led his men into battle, Thyri ruled with wisdom and care, keeping the peace within the walls of her kingdom and ensuring her children were raised to continue the legacy of her father and husband. As a mother, Thyri was fierce in her love and protection of her children. Her son, Harald Bluetooth, would rise to become one of the most powerful kings in all of Scandinavia. He was a child of both Norway and Denmark, born of two great realms, and Thyri knew that he would be the one to carry the torch of her father's vision, a unified North. She taught him the ways of leadership and the importance of alliances, and the value of understanding both the sword and the heart. Thyri's legacy as a mother went beyond just raising a future king. She shaped her son into a ruler who would not only rule with strength, but also wisdom. He was the one who would bring Christianity to the northern lands, a transformation that was much a reflection of his mother's teachings as it was a shift in the world around them. In her later years, Thyri's influence continued to echo throughout the lands. Though she did not seek the glory of battle, her political acumen ensured the continued prosperity of her people. She became a revered figure, a queen who had forged alliances, a mother who had raised a king, and a woman whose strength lay in her ability to guide the course of history with quiet resolve. Thyri's name would not be etched into the sagas in the same way as the great warrior queens, but she was no less powerful. She was a mother whose legacy shaped the future, a queen whose influence united two kingdoms, a woman whose wisdom and strength endured beyond her lifetime. Her story serves as a reminder that true power is not always seen in the battlefield or the throne room, but in the hearts and minds of those who nurture and guide the next generation. Thyri, Queen of the North, was the backbone of a unified Scandinavia, and her legacy would forever be remembered in the blood of kings and the songs of her people. Now we come to our last story. Loki, the unlikely mother. Now we come to a tale less expected. Loki the trickster, the shapeshifter, the chaos bearer. Once, however, he even bore life. The gods at the time were nearly outwitted by a giant Loki transformed into a mare to lure away the giant's powerful stallion. And that strange and sacred deception, Loki became pregnant. From him was born Sleipnir, Odin's eight-legged steed, the swiftest in the land. Loki, the mother of Sleipnir. Long ago, when the gods and giants were engaged in their endless struggles for power and supremacy, the gods of Asgard found themselves in a difficult situation. They were constructing the Great Walls of Asgard, a project that would protect their home from the giants, but the work was progressing far too slow. The gods feared that the wall would never be finished, and in an effort to hasten the work, they struck a deal with a giant stonemason who promised to finish the wall in a mere 3 seasons if he was given Freyja, the sun, and the moon as payment. The gods, to protect Asgard, agreed only too late to realize that they had made a hasty bargain. The mason's work was extraordinary, and soon the gods found themselves in a bind. The wall was nearly complete. They couldn't afford to lose Freyja, much less the sun and the moon. Loki, always a trickster, was called upon to help resolve the issue. Loki, with his sharp mind and unpredictable nature, devised a plan to outwit the mason and break the contract without paying the agreed-upon price. Loki approached the mason and told him that while he could not break the agreement outright, he might be able to offer a solution. He would provide a horse so powerful they could complete the work in a single night. The mason, intrigued by the offer, agreed, and Loki, ever the shapeshifter, transformed into a mare. He then seduced the mason stallion, which he had been helping with the construction, and the two horses mated under the cover of night. The mason called all throughout the night, searching for his stallion. And in the midst of his shape-shifting trickery, Loki became pregnant. Yes, Loki, the god of mischief and chaos himself, was now found carrying a child. And when the time came, Loki gave birth not to a mere mortal, but to a magnificent 8-legged horse, Sleipnir, the steed of Odin. Sleipnir was no ordinary horse, as he was an extraordinary creature with 8 powerful legs, the ability to run faster than any other steed. He was able to travel between realms and across water. Loki, having given birth to such a magnificent creature, presented Sleipnir to Odin, who was overjoyed with the gift. Sleipnir became Odin's loyal companion, carrying him on many of his adventures, including the Wild Hunt. While this story may seem a tad bit absurd, Loki, the trickster god becoming a mother, highlights several key aspects of his character. His shapeshifting, his trickery, his ability to defy the conventional rules of nature. Loki's transformation into a mother challenges the traditional gender roles and shows how in Norse mythology even the most unlikely figures can play roles in shaping the world. And so as the stories of old fade into the twilight, let us turn our hearts to the present, to the mothers who gave us life, to those who raise us with not born of blood, but of choice, to the grandmothers whose wisdom steadied us, the aunts who sheltered us, and the sisters who stood beside us, to the fathers who became both shield and hearth, stepping into the space where a mother's warmth was needed, to the friends who nurtured us, the mentors who saw our light, the guardians who never turned away. Motherhood is not bound by form. It is a force, ancient and sacred, that rises in all who love fiercely and care without end. Today we remember the mothers of myth and we honor the mothers among us in all of their shapes, all of their sizes, and all of their strength. Let them be praised, and let them be blessed, and let their stories live on. As we come to the end of the video, I want to take the time to thank the mothers in my life. My mother, who has been nothing but a solid rock when I need her the most. My grandmother, who passed 11 years ago, who raised me up to be one of the most caring people that she could. See, because when I was a child, my mother worked often. She supported the household, and through her sacrifice enabled us to have whatever we needed. My mother is one of the hardest working people I know and one of the most caring people I know. And without her, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. No amount of thanks or gifts can ever repay the things that she has done for me. All I can do is try to be the person that she knows that I can be every day. My mother taught me how to work hard. My mother taught me how to care. My mother stepped up in times when my other parent couldn't be bothered because of one reason or another. My mother to this day continues to check in on me, to step up and to take care of me as the best she can. Because even at 34 years old, a mother's love never changes. This video was supposed to be another saga. But with Mother's Day soon, I couldn't think of a better way to honor the people in my life that have made a huge difference. From my mother to my grandmother, who raised me while my mom worked and my other parent was busy, to the people that have taken my daughter and treated her as if she is their own. Her boyfriend's mother, my girlfriend. But this video isn't just about them. This video is about people that stepped into a motherly role when they weren't given another choice. This is for all of the mothers, including the fathers that stepped into that role and helped raise some of the most wonderful human beings on this planet. It's no secret that recently the world became a bit darker for my family, as the person who raised my girlfriend from the time that she was 2 until recently passed away. This video is for him as well. Her father not only stepped into the role of a mother, but when I needed it the most, stepped into the role of a father for me as well. I can't think of a better way to honor the people in my life that were in a maternal role than to dedicate this video to them. Now that I am, as we come to the end of this video, this is possibly a sign of things to come. I like this format a little bit better. Take care of your mother. Take care of your grandparents. Take care of your aunts, your uncles, anyone who stepped into a maternal role for you. Be thankful that they're here. And if they're not, celebrate them every day. Because without them, many of us wouldn't be the people that we are today. And for that, we should be eternally grateful. I want to thank all of you for joining me tonight as we sit by the fire and tell tales of mothers who not only shaped the sagas, but shaped the land of our ancestors. I invite all of you who see this video to go into the comment section, either on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, and tell me a story of someone in your life who stepped into the maternal role or was a maternal figure in your life, your mother, your grandmother, what have you. Especially if they've passed. Because one of the greatest things we can do is to keep their memory alive for as long as we can. So, for now, we're going to say goodnight. Because it's time, I believe, that we go and reflect on the people in our life, the maternal people in our life. I want to thank you all for joining me, for watching this video, for sitting by my fireside. I look forward to speaking with you again. Until next time. This is The Hungry Heathen.